Okay, my name is Mark deBoer. My presentation today is on the flipped classroom with Moodle. So thank you, those who are joining us. Okay, so just a brief where we are. We are up in the northern part of Japan up here. This is where our university is. And we just got word that there was a massive earthquake down here in the southern part of Japan. So we felt it up here a little bit. So hopefully everything's okay. All right, so start here. So what I'd like to do first is to introduce you to the Iwata University website that we've created over the past 3 or 4 years. When you first go to our website, we're using Moodle. I think it's 2.8 at this point, or 2.7, and we have it entirely visual. So we don't have any scrolling or anything like that. It's just everything is icon based. So if you click on students, you go to a student area. If you click on the learning support desk, you go to that area, and so forth and so on. So this is very visual and all icons throughout the entire site. Okay, for example, if you click on students, then this is what you'll get to see. So you'll see courses, all courses. You'll see a variety of different things that the students can access. And then these either link to further pages or directly to courses themselves. In most cases here, they're all courses themselves. All right. Now, in our university, we have 4 faculties. We have engineering, humanities, education, and agriculture. So if you click on the all courses area, you get led to this area here. So the students who are engineering, they can link to the engineering courses and humanities, et cetera, so they can go through and access any part of the site from here. Okay. Now, there's also self-study courses, as we saw on the previous page. There's a variety of different courses that the students can access and study on their own, or teachers can use these courses as well as part of their own syllabus and accent their own course material using this kind of these courses. The courses that we have, this is just a few samples here, but the courses that we have, this is to do with agriculture and engineering. This is engineering. This is to do with humanities. We got education, and then of course we have agriculture. So we have different courses for different parts of our faculties. We've created a site that the students can study the English that is dedicated towards their area of study. So there are chemistry students, they can study English that's to do with chemistry. If there are agriculture students, they can study things to do with agriculture or biochemistry or animal sciences. But what I'd like to focus on today is this area called Project One. This is a course that I teach, and I'd like to show you how I set this up. So when the students click on this course, well, first of all, the course that we teach this to, it's an engineering and agriculture majors. They're all first-year students, and there are about 38 students, and their levels are about CEFR A2 to B1 levels, so they're not that high. If we look at I don't know if you're familiar with TOEIC scores, but they're about 400, 420 in TOEIC. So they're not that high-level English. Okay. When they click on the course, we have of course a scrolling that we have in regular Moodle courses. But what I have done in this course is I've got a number of different criteria that the students have to finish before the end of the course. One of them is a main project, and it's a poster presentation. We do a PowerPoint presentation, and then they end up with a 2,000-word report. Now, this is all done in a group. The report is done by themselves, but they can use the group's data. And then they can also, we also work on a rubric assignment, and the students study how to assess, and they create a rubric assessment form that they use themselves in their assessment of their presentations. And we also have a 1-minute speech, which is all individual. The students do this by themselves. We have a workshop presentation, which the students do, a group presentation, but it's on a specific topic. And then we also have an energy presentation and a debate. and this is all group-based. And then also we have readers, graded readers, and this is individual, but they do book report and they do book speeches. Okay, so this is the main components of the course. This is what the students have to do, so they're very busy. And what I want to focus on right now is the workshop presentation. Okay. Now, in the workshop presentation, it's a 5-minute PowerPoint presentation. They have 5 minutes, and there's minimum 1 slide per person. So they can make as many slides as they want. And usually in this case, there's about 6 students per group. All right. Now, what they do is in this present to prepare for this is I give them only a very limited number of resources. So in my course, I have mostly activities and very few resources. And the resources that I give them are very short resources, or very just an introduction to a topic, a very short video or a very short document, or just, please do this kind of thing. In this case here, these are very, very short videos. They're only about a minute and a half. There's very little English, and it only introduces them to a specific topic. So for example, if they look at this video here, it's all on earth breathing and the concept of earth breathing. If they look at Florida rising sea levels, it's just about what happens if the sea levels were to rise above the land. So these are the kind of videos that they watch to prepare themselves. And what they do is they watch the videos in their groups, and they make some notes. And from those notes, they can start sharing vocabulary, they can start sharing concepts, and then they can also start looking up additional information on the internet. Okay. Now, once they have decided on a group, I have this is a new workshop group choice it's a plugin that I put into the site. And what happens when you put this the plugin in, if the students choose a group, then they automatically get put into that group. So it's a very handy feature. Before, I used to the students would choose a group using the choose activity, and then I would just take each individual student and put them in the groups myself. But this is much easier now. So the students they have an assignment now. They have to do a PowerPoint presentation. They've watched a video, and they've chosen what group they want to be, and they've chosen the group. And now what I have them do is I have them take some quizzes. And they have to take the quiz that's associated with the video that they're going to be doing a presentation on. But also we have them take quizzes on the other videos. Why? Because we want them to become more familiar with what the other students are going to be presenting on. So these are just quizzes to do with vocabulary or concepts, and they're easy quizzes. All right. And then what the students do is they go into the forum that I've created, and in this forum here they use it to work on their PowerPoint slides. And in this forum here they use it to work on their script. So here they're creating the slides and deciding what's going to go into the slides, and here they're deciding exactly what they're going to say during the presentation. Okay. Now, I'm supposed to be talking about a flipped classroom. So this is where I want to explain how I define a flipped classroom and go from there. So the first thing I do to define my flipped classroom, or to begin the flipped classroom, is I give the students an assignment. And in this case, we saw it's the workshop. And then what I have them do is I have them begin the asynchronous dialogue. So they're using the forums, and in the forums itself, they're sharing information, they're discussing things. And the reason why I use the asynchronous forums is because I want them to only use English. And in the forums themselves, the students can think about what they're going to type before they type it, and they have to type it in English. So it gives them a chance to think about it. And then when the other students receive the posts in the forum, they can think about what's been written, and they can try and decipher what's been written. And also, as you'll see, they can download or upload documents as well, and share documents and other information, which I'll go through. Okay, so in the forum itself, you might see something like this. This is the very first post by one of the students. and she's in the Florida group, and she's the group leader. So in each group, the students choose a group leader, and the group leader is responsible for starting the forum discussions, making sure that the schedule is adhered to when they make a schedule about, what has to be done by certain dates. And also, they're also responsible for uploading the final documents when they're completed. So the group leader is very important part of the group dynamics. So in this case here, she's made up an outline, and she says, please decide. Okay, then we start the students. We see the students starting discussions, and we see them going in and saying, okay, well, what should we do? This is a good idea, and they're starting to discuss what their topic is going to be in these are the PowerPoint forums. Okay, and then also they're doing information sharing. So in other words, they're putting graphs, they're putting pictures, they're putting other information, links to other websites and whatnot. Now, I've only given them an assignment, and I haven't touched anything since. So all of this is the students working on their own in the forums. And this is after the first class that has been introduced, the workshop forum, and before I meet them again on the second week. So this is all being done within the first week. Then we also see file sharing. So not just information and not just graphs and pictures, but also they're uploading files and saying, okay, I've made a slide, what do you think? And they're evaluating each other. Okay, so, I made this, I changed it, you should arrange things better. So they're not just doing something, but they're also evaluating each other, helping each other make a better presentation. So we see a lot of group dynamics. Okay, so basically what's happening is the learners come to the next class, so which we call the face-to-face environment, to continue this learning process, which they've already started in their asynchronous pre-class discussions. So at that point, the teacher can step in, and the teacher can work with each group. So it's not I don't know how flipped classrooms are defined in other areas, but what I've done is I've said, okay, well, I'm not going to show them the video and have them come to class and discuss it. What I want them to do is I want them to do this project, and I want them to start discussing the project, and then when they come to class, I can go to each individual group and see what they're doing. I can give them some feedback. They can ask me questions, and it's a more personable classroom. And because they've already started the discussion, and because they're already continuing the discussion, they are prepared more to ask me questions, and I'm prepared more to be able to give them more feedback based on what they've done. So this is one of my students transcribed this for me, but basically this is one of the discussions that's happening in the classroom. So as I'm walking around, I talk to the group, and you can get some information and see what they're doing. Now, when I'm talking to the group too, a lot of times I don't really help them either. I just kind of ask them some questions and see if I can make them think of something more abstract, or see if I can point them in direction of where to find information. Or if their language is not good, then I might pull somebody from another group and say, can you help this group with this sentence here? I'm not sure what they're trying to say. Can you talk to them, please? So I'm trying to create more of a classroom dynamic now inside the classroom from this initial 1 week of discussions that they've already started. Okay. So this face-to-face environment becomes a place where the teacher is part of the dynamic assessment. So by asking questions. Now, what I mean by dynamic assessment is since the students have already started working on this thing, I can talk to them and I can see what level they've reached, or I can see where they are in their project. And then through the discussions that I have with them, I can kind of get a good idea of how I can help them. And so through this mediation that we're doing during this classroom discussion, I'm assessing them. And also, if we go back to the forum, you can see that they're assessing each other in the forums too. And it's not on purpose. It's not like they're taking a test and they have to pass the test. It's more of, I'm trying to help you, you're trying to help me. And through our discussions, we can make this into a better presentation. So this is more of a socio-cultural approach to learning. Okay. Now, once the class is finished, then the students can go back to the asynchronous dialogue and they can continue that. And some of them have actually said, well, the teacher has said this in the classroom, and they can start sharing more information, or they can say, okay, well, let's make notes about what we've done in class, and let's go back and let's think about different things. So we've gone from an assignment on the first day, please watch these videos. This is what I'm hoping that you can do, make a PowerPoint presentation. Students walk away, they start working in the forums, sharing information, sharing data, sharing websites, uploading their documents, uploading PowerPoint slides, coming back to class, and then in class discussing it with me as I'm going around. So it's very personal, and the students, I'm just entering the conversation midterm, and I'm not really involved with the conversations during the forums at all. Okay, now also the students are involved with assessment, but what I mean by this is that when I was in a conference in Germany, at the Moodle conference in Germany about 4 or 5 years ago, they talked about this rubrics, and so I decided to put it into the workshop function of the Moodle, and the workshop function has a place where you can put in a rubric grid. And so what I've done is I've said to the students, okay, well, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think about what makes a good presentation or what makes a bad presentation. And I give them a blank template. And then I have them work in their project groups. This is separate from their actual groups that they're working in on the Florida rising sea levels or whatnot. This is a different group, so it's a different dynamic. And then they discuss in the rubrics forum things that they think make a good presentation or make a bad presentation. And then as a group, they create one document. And then the group leader from that group then takes that document and puts it into this forum where the group leaders from each group can then discuss and make one final document from the entire class documents. So there might be 7 or 8 groups creating one document or one rubric document, and then that document is uploaded to the group leader forum, and then the group leaders all together, they look at all the documents and they pick the best from each of the documents and make one final class rubric. And then what I'll do is in the following week is I'll put the rubric on the white screen or the overhead projector, and I'll walk through them with it and say, okay, this is a good point, this is a good point, this is a good point, or maybe you can change this, or I'm not sure what you mean here. So this is where, as a class and the teacher are now discussing the final rubric that they've made. So in some cases, I don't touch it at all. In some cases, I say, okay, maybe you can go back and change this because I'm not sure what you mean, and then re-upload it again. So then you can see, oops, wrong slide. This is where they start to discuss the rubric template in each group. So again, they've divided the work up as a group, and they've got the group leader who starts the discussion. They start adding things to the rubric template, and then, oops, and then you can see again their file sharing, and this is what they come up with. Now this is still in the interim, and what I give them is only the blank, a blank document. I don't give them anything, and I give them category, element, and grade from 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't give them any of these terms here or these terms here. So this is all entirely their work based on how they feel or what they think is a good presentation. And again, once they have created this in the forum, we meet them in class, and I go through it with them, and I ask them questions, and then they either go back and fix it, or I take it and then put it directly into the workshop function or workshop activity in Moodle, and then they can use it to assess their presentations. So the workshop in Moodle is just a place where they upload a document, then I put the rubrics in there, and then I switch to the assessment mode, and when they're watching the presentations, then they can actually go through and they can click on the various elements that they think that this presentation has. So for example, if they look at things like attitude, they looked at this presentation, they said, well, this is what I think here, and this is what I think here. So they're clicking on this. There's no grades at the top, so they've gone from seeing what 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is, but when they actually watch the presentation, though, they see this only as descriptions. Okay. Now this is the first time they've done this, and since they're first-year students, I don't bother with this too much on the first time. But in the final presentation, they also make another rubric, and because they've had experience then with the 1 minute presentation, this presentation, they have a number of different book speeches and whatnot. So by the time they reach the final presentation, they've got a lot more experience. And this rubric is much different and much more comprehensive, and it's and more detailed. So this is just a first attempt, and again, from my comments and then from their experience, it's much different the second time around. Okay, so to recap then, basically what I do is, in this idea of a flipped classroom, is the first thing I do is to provide an assignment. In this case, we had 2 assignments. One is the workshop presentation, which is a 5-minute presentation, 6 people per group. And we also have the rubrics assessment form that they have to make. And that's a different group. And those groups are about 4 people. And so those are 2 things that are happening simultaneously. And they're going to actually use the rubric on this workshop assignment. Okay, then what happens is the students then begin the discussions. So in this group, they begin discussions on the rubrics, and in this group, they begin discussions on the workshop presentation. And this is the first class, and now this is after the class, and this is nothing that I'm doing. This is all inside of the forums. Then they come back to the class, and in this week we'll discuss what they're doing in the workshop, in their presentations, how they're proceeding with their presentations. And in one of the other following classes, we'll discuss the rubric. So it's not happening on the same day, but and they have more time to work on the workshop presentations after I give them feedback. And they'll continue to do that in the forums. And before in the forums, you could see that each group was discussing things, but in some cases, we have some groups that have over 150 replies and dialogues between each part of each group, and they're uploading documents back and forth at least 100 and 110 times. So we have a lot of data that shows that the students are really making a huge effort before I meet them and then after I meet them as well to improve their presentations and improve their slides and improve the scripts. Okay. Then the students continue the discussions after that, and at the end, the students are responsible for the assessment. So as a teacher, I don't have a lot of responsibility in giving them resources. I give them only a slight resource or small resource that helps them begin the research. And after that, I kind of step back and let them do their work. And then I come in the classroom when they meet, and I help them further, and then the students are also responsible for the assessment. So it's very easy for me, and it puts a lot of onus on the students to create good presentations, but it's a very effective way for getting them to learn. So that's thank you for listening. So if you have any questions, then you can either I think type them in the chat, or you can turn on your microphone and ask me directly. Any questions? Andy?
Yeah, hi Mark. Thanks very much for the presentation. What I was wondering about was the issue of you're working with really well-motivated students at a university, mostly, I guess. What are your views on this flipping the classroom with maybe a inner city secondary school where you've got a more broader mix of motivation within the students?
Actually, what I've just this is about 4 years since I started this course, and before that, when I taught the engineering students, a lot of teachers actually teach them using the regular kind of textbooks, and the engineering students fall asleep in these classes. They don't like these classes. But what I found was that, and they're not very motivated. The agriculture students are a little bit different, but the engineering students are. The reason why they enter engineering in our university is because they don't want to go through the English. But what I found is putting them in the groups and giving them a presentation or giving them something to do that's they can see the link between what they're studying in their careers and what they're studying in the English part, and there's a direct link in many cases. They seem to get a voice, and they seem to become more motivated. Now, I'm not sure at lower levels or lower grades when they haven't got a career choice, or they haven't decided what they're interested in, and you're just giving them something to do, and maybe they're not interested. I'm not sure how that would work, but I found that by giving the students a voice and putting them in the groups with a group leader, there's more of an incentive, and there's more motivation for some reason.
Okay, thanks.
All right, I'd like to take this opportunity to just thank you very much for the very insightful presentation. We'll leave the session still open for any more questions, but on behalf of the iMoot team, we'd like to thank you very much for the presentation.
Well, thank you. Any more questions?